And good morning, everyone. This is Mr. Kasarian, and today we're doing a bit of a different tutorial than what we normally do. Today, we're going to be talking about how I actually record videos for YouTube. It's a question I've had from a couple different people, most noticeably some of my friends, going, Cass, how do you do this? Really, no, how do you do this? Now, I want to apologize that the screen's going to be a little stretched for this because my desktop actually runs at kind of an interesting screen resolution. You can see it's a 1680 by 1050 screen resolution. I do have a second monitor, which you can see, well, you can't see, but I can. Yeah, it's over here somewhere. And that's kind of where I'm holding things off camera right now, just to show you guys in the future as time goes on. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to look at is how to actually record your footage. Now, for this, I actually use Fraps. And Fraps is a really nice program. Let's bring Fraps up here. And it's pretty simple. Well, compared to other image screen capture programs, it's relatively simple. So let's start at the beginning, general, okay? You can see with the general settings here, I have Fraps starting minimized. All right, that's just because it starts up as soon as Windows runs. Now, you don't want to have Fraps window always on top because it'll literally sit on top of your game. And honestly, while you're recording, you shouldn't need to have Fraps up and active. Display status on LCD. Well, that's because I have a Logitech G15 keyboard, and I can actually open up my Fraps settings, and I can see I'm recording, what my frame rate is, and some other general statistics about, what my Fraps program's doing. The one feature it doesn't have that I wish it did is some sort of a timing program to tell you how long you've been recording for, but, beggars can't be choosers. This button here, Monitor Arrow Desktop DWM, what this means is this actually allows me to record my desktop itself. So this, what you're seeing in front of you. Normally, if that wasn't selected, Fraps wouldn't actually record. It would try and record one of the other windows I have open that you can see at the bottom of my screen here. Okay, so now that that's done, let's go look at the next tab, FPS. This is for benchmarking. Honestly, you won't need this unless you're trying to show off how awesome your computer is. This isn't hugely important for you. So let's move on to the real meat of what we're going to be doing, which is the video section. Okay. Now, this is where things get a little bit more interesting. So we can choose which file to save our movies into, and I'll get to that in just a couple seconds. But you can also see this video capture hotkey. If you notice, there's no start recording button. That's because you use a hotkey on your keyboard, to start your video captures. Now, I recommend you set this to a key that you don't use. You can see I'm using page up. That's fine. I really don't use page up for much of anything. Space engineers, well, I just kind of work around it, but normally it's good. It's out of the way. I'm not going to hit it by accident, accidentally turn off a recording, accidentally turn on a recording. I did that a lot when I was really early on working on my laptop. I had the delete key, I think it was. So I'd have to make sure that I cleaned out my folders because every time I accidentally use the delete key, we had issues. So then we come down here, video capture settings. Now, full size versus half size is simply the amount of data it's storing. Is it encoding at the full resolution or the half resolution? I always record at full resolution because I upload my videos into 720p. So I want to make sure that, I'm recording as much content as I can. This is the frames per second lock. Fraps has an ability to lock the frames per second of any program that's running, basically. So I can lock my games to 30 frames per second. What that lets me do is it kind of keeps the file sizes down a little bit, and we'll talk about that more in a couple minutes. It also means that I'm not straining my computer as much, and it kind of smooths out some of the, I'd say, it bursts up really high in FPS, and then it drops down low. It smooths that out and kind of gives me a nice, smooth video experience when my recording's turned on. Especially for games like Minecraft that don't have their own smoothing algorithms, you really want to have some sort of frame lock. Okay? This button down here is split movie every 4 gigs. That's in case you're not using a modern NTFS disk format. I'd recommend using NTFS. It'll basically allows you to have file sizes as big as you want. Record Win 7 sound. Stereo or multi-channel. So basically what that's doing is it's actually Fraps is recording the audio that's coming into my headset. And that's how you record the sound. Unless you're doing a soundless video with a music overlay, you really want to have Win 7 sound turned on. Okay? And I record it in stereo versus, you know, it really doesn't matter. I could have it set to multi-channel. I don't think that many people have 5.1 systems they're going to be watching this with, so that's fine. Record external input. You really want this on. Unless you're doing some sort of purely post commentary work in your post-production, you really want to be recording your microphone. That's how you're hearing me right now. I'm talking as I'm recording live. I prefer that style. I know other YouTubers prefer to do something a little bit more not really canned, but more post-production heavy. So they'll actually do a voiceover in post-production once they've already recorded the footage. Certainly that works for some games, especially games where you have long stretches where nothing's really going on. Okay, hide mouse cursor in video. Well, I don't like that because I really want you to be able to see what I'm doing with my mouse, especially if it's an RPG or a strategy game. You want to see what my mouse is doing, you want to see where I'm clicking, what I'm looking at, etc. Lock frame rate while recording, that locks you down to this 30 frames per second marker over here. Okay. Forced lossless RGB capture. I honestly haven't noticed much of a difference with it. It really isn't a huge issue. I guess maybe if I was outputting at 1080, it might be an issue. But as for me, my current setup works absolutely fine. All right, so now let's look at how I'm actually doing my recordings and organizing my footage. So let's click on View, okay? Let's look at my general setup here. So here you can see that I have 3 hard drives, all right? My primary drive is my solid state drive. This is a Raptor drive. It's an older 10,000 RPM fast gaming hard drive. And then this is a 7200 RPM. It's actually an external hard drive because I got it when I was recording on my laptop. And that's where all my footage goes. And you can see I have 128 gigs free of 1.81 terabytes. All right, how the heck have I filled that up? Raw footage. So let's take a look at one of my Space Engineers videos. All right, let's look at this one. This file is 11 minutes long, and it's about 10 gigs. Let's say 9 gigs, 10 gigs. This one's 13 minutes long, and it's about 13 gigs. So I generally estimate that you're going to have about a gigabyte for every minute of footage. 30-minute episode is going to be about 30 gigs. All right? That's a lot of space, and you use up a lot of space, which is why I have a very large external stuff drive that I put all my raw video footage onto. And you can see how I kind of organize it here, right? I have my my folders for each, different game. Minecraft's actually split up by series and some of my tutorials and that sort of stuff. And from there, we can then split down into, each individual episode. Oftentimes, if I kind of know what I'm getting at, I'll figure out a catchy name and, try and do some sort of a, catchy name, pre-title it over here. Or you have videos like Not Sure, where I wasn't certain what episode that was going to turn into. So if I kick back out, I can go to my finished folder, and I'll look at SSPCs 3, and these are all my finished videos. All right, and I keep them as an archive. I have stuff going all the way back to Season 1. All the way back. All the way back. Yeah. So that's fine. You guys can see I actually have quite a bit of, this was one of my first videos, I think. These two in here. I'm pretty certain these were some of my very first videos that I ever uploaded. Anyways, so now that that's all set, let's take a look at one of the trickier games to record. Well, actually, let's save that for a future episode. All right, so we now know how to set up kind of our recording environment. I recommend you guys try and keep it organized kind of like I do. Not exactly. I don't want you guys to, exactly copy me because that's the only way to do it. But it certainly gives some better organization because I can always open up my finished folder and say, have I already encoded this? Have I already used this footage? Yes, I have. All right, I'm not going to use it again. That way I'm not uploading the same video twice and spending all that time encoding it. So that's the basic way that I set up just my general recording environment. Now, of course, there's one issue, which is that I never started my timer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this here, just in terms of general encoding just in terms of general recording. And next episode, we're going to get into how I encode my videos and then how I upload them to YouTube. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys. It's Fraps centric, but that's what I use. And honestly, that's one of the best ways to work it. So this has been Mr. Kasarian. I want to thank you guys for watching. As always, guys,